Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Husna Nisah Khairani, and today I'm going to talk about pragmatic competence and interactional competence. So, what is pragmatic? Pragmatic is the study of how we use language in social situations. It looks at why we speak differently depending on where we are and who we are talking to. It also studies how we can understand each other even though we are speak in a way that are not direct or literal. And uh, pragmatic is not focused on grammar or sentence structure like syntax. Instead, it cares about how we use language incorrectly and politely in real life conversation. And according to Crystal in 1997, pragmatic is about the choices people make, the rules they follow, and how their words affect others. And many studies in pragmatic focus on the speakers, but we must note that the listeners are also important. Next point is how to talk to whom. The pragmatic competence. What is pragmatic competence? Pragmatic competence is the skill of adjusting the ways we speak depending on who we are talking to. As I have mentioned before, maybe like a boss, like a friend, or a spouse, maybe. And it has 2 points. The first one is socio-pragmatic competence, which is knowing what's the rules, like what's normal, what's polite, what's the answer of this certain situation, what is expected in this situation. And most of us knowing this without even thinking about it because we are already used to it. And the next one is the pragma-linguistic competence, which is knowing how to use the language tools like the modal, the verbs, the polite phrases to say something in which it is socially acceptable. And next is the speech act and politeness. So we speak differently to people because we want to keep the things polite and friendly. And also, the speech act is like how we do something with words, like requesting, making refusal, apologizing, and something like that. And when we speak, we need to note two things of the hearer. The first one is the positive face, like does she or he wants to be like to be respected or something like that. So we must see that in the hearer. And also the negative face. Negative face is like the burden, like does she want to be burdened? How far? Like, yeah, they want to be forced to do something? That kind of thing. So we need to note these two things. And also we tend to speak indirectly when we make a request because we want to sound more polite, right? Instead of saying help me, we might say, could you please help me? So the form is question, but we are requesting. So that's indirect. And also, in this one, the way we speak is also depending on these three factors. The first one is power. So the power differences will determine how we speak. If our hearer have more power than us, then we tend to speak formally, more polite, like maybe to our boss. We use formal English, but what if we have like the same power or the higher powers is below us, we tend to be more casual, maybe to our friends, to our child, to our little sister or little brother. We tend to be more casual. And the second factors is the social distance, the amount of closeness we have with the hearer. If the most close we are to the hearer, the more casual we will be. If we don't that close, if we are not that close with the hero, we tend to be more polite. If, for example, we ask stranger for helps, we tend to like make the sentence longer to make it sounds more polite, like could you please help me, blah 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 blah. But when we speak to our friends, to our bestie, maybe we just say, hey, please help me with that, with this, help me with this, just something like that. And the third factors is the imposition, the burden of the hearer. So it also determines how we speak, how polite we should be. If the bigger the burden is, the polite we are. Like if we want to uh, borrow large amount of money to our friends, so even though it is our friends, we tend to be more polite. Like we may like address our problems and make request the help, and also offer the solution, offer the after that maybe we can, yeah, I will definitely give it back to you with much amount of something like that. And if it's just a simple thing, maybe uh could you pass me the pen, maybe can you pass me the pen, we can be casual, right? And next is the um, learning, speech act in second language learning. So in for the second language learner, they tend to be taught to make refusal, requesting, and something like that. And there are like 5 stages of this. The first one is pre-basic stage. So it is when the learners only know little vocabulary of English, and so they use whatever they have, like the gesture, the mimic to make something happen. Like if they want to make a request, they will use their gesture this because they don't know what to say because their vocabulary is only little. And this and then we have formulaic stage. So in this one they already memorize some simple simple phrase or verbs, so they can use that. And the third stage is unpacking stage. In this one, they already know how to use some uh, polite request, but only in the basic stage of the polite request. Maybe like, could you please help me with this, blah 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 blah. Yeah. And the next one is pragmatic expansion. So they can speak politely in different situations. So that's what means by the expansion. And the last one is fine tuning. So it is actually, you can about the natural. So you can be like natural in leading the conversation, in making the request to be more to sound polite. So you can do that. And the next one is about the understanding non-literal speech, the implicators. So people often say something that they don't mean in a literal way. So yeah, you say something that indirect, yeah, indirect. So that's what we call implicatures. So implicatures happens when there are extra meanings or hidden meanings in utterances or sentences that we speak. So for example, I'm going to the movies with my friends, and after the movies I ask her like, how is the movies? And she just say, the popcorn was good. So she changed the topic. So it depends on me how to interpret that. For me, I will interpret that, well, she thinks the movie wasn't good, so she changed the topic. That's how implicature works actually. And next, the interactional competence. Interactional competence is like the ability to manage the conversation. It is not only about speaking but also understand the conversation. Yeah. So there are like some important parts of interactional conversation. Interactional competence, I'm sorry, interactional competence. First one, we have turn taking. So we know when we speak. So when we are having conversation, so there's a time, right, when we're the one to speak and our counter speaker speaks, so we know how when we speak the turn taking. And also, the next we have intersubjectivity. So we make sure that both sides understand the conversation. We understand each other's, so we can have the good conversation. And the third one is like, I forgot about the third one. No, after the the recipient design. So we adjust the way we speak depending on our speakers who we are talking to, and we have conversation, opening and closing. So it is actually how we start and end conversation properly. And also after that we have repair. So we fix the misunderstanding, and we have adjacency repair. So we give what is expected to be given. So greetings, expect greetings, question, expect answers, and something like that. And then we have Hmm. Top. No, 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 no. Something like management. Yeah. Conversation. preferences, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it is like actually we choose what we are going to say to keep the relationship good. So this is something I should not say, this is something I should say, that way. And the last one is topic management, like we choose to keep the topic going or to change the topic depending on the flow. And the last point is about the second language learning in interactional competence. So as we have talked before, at the beginning, maybe the second language learner may be are passive and quiet, but as the time going, as they learn, they will be more active and can express their mind freely, in politely, in a correct way. So that is the word, actually the key point of the learning. So we need to practice, we need to immerse in the environment of our second language so we can learn about the flow, so we can expose to the flow. That will that will give us a great lesson, actually. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.